We have been this month going through a series of our internal landscape. We have been looking at how we hear the voice of Jesus in our consciousness, how we hear our own guidance. And so have you guys been working with that a little bit? Because we know and we're taught all the time how to behave kindly, how to act in the outer world in a way that is representative of love and the Christ and what we feel. But that internal landscape, we still need to cultivate that. And so that's what we've been working on. So I hope you've been seeing some results with that. So today, I have a name. This is our next steps. We've talked to God. We know that when we feel God in the moment, we feel God in the moment. We feel God in the space that we're in. We feel God in ourselves. In that moment, we are the observed and the observer. We are one with God when we feel God in this energy, in this space, and in ourselves. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a oneness. And then we are the observer and the observed. We are one. We are not separate any longer. In our world, what are we most of the time? The observer. We're observing, we're participating. But this moment of oneness is what we seek, don't we? We seek that with all our hearts. So in that moment, we can see and feel and know our divinity, and we are one with God. It is a beautiful space of transcendence almost. Transcendence. This is when we can understand limitlessness. We can understand no boundaries. We can understand pure potential and creativity. So, now, we come to this earth, and what do we get? A name! Do you know what your parents go through to name you before you're born?
Oh, I know.
They are looking for the absolute perfect name for you, one that will carry the vibration of who you are and your soul. And has anybody begun to name a child and change it at the last minute, or looked at them and changed their name? I did. Yeah, you just go, oh, that's who you are. That's not who you are. So you change them. So we're looking for the perfect vibration. And you, even when you pick your parents, you also pick your name. Do you realize that? You pick a name that you will be called by that's unique to you. Isn't that great? I've often wondered, my middle name is Alcinda, which is very, very strange. I was named after a great-grandmother. Archaic name, but I love it. And so I've been called Cindy my whole life. That's my middle name. Sin. And I've wondered, Cindy, you knew you were going to be a minister at some point. I stand as the antithesis to the idea of sin. So it serves me, right? So we pick our name, and I wanted to share with you just for a wee moment this beautiful little book called The Adventures of Starla and Blaze. And it's all about two little spirits trying to get their parents to hear what their name really should be. Highly recommended. It is in the bookstore. There are a few copies left. Thank you, Patrick. Spirit wrote it. Okay, so we've got the idea of how we come in and we get a name that is identifiable on the earth plane, right? And then what do? As human beings, we like it, we change it. We might go by a nickname that suits us better. Does anybody change your name a little bit? Some people have. Played with it a little bit. I know that the name is how people relate to us. And for my son, his name is David Fuller. So I call him David. I've called him David his entire life. His dad called him Davy Boy. Hey, Davy Boy, all the time. His dad made transition when David was 15. His dad never knew the man. So I'm sure in his mind, Davy Boy's dad, because that's how his dad saw him, Davy Boy. And all mothers will understand this. When I would say to my son, David James Fuller, I am calling forth his soul to pay attention to me now. Every bit of who he is better listen right now, because that's what we do. We named him because we know that reflected their soul, and we call it forth when we need to. See? So names always are it's a link to how we are personifying ourselves on the earth plane. It's a link to that. All right. So we might think our names differentiate us from other people, but really it identifies our energy. Our name identifies our energy. Kind of feel with that for a minute, your name. And I'm talking right now about your name on the earth plane. So I wanted to start looking at Jesus. You know, before he was born, and the angel came to Mary and said, you're giving birth to, he will be called Emmanuel, which is God is with us, but you will name him Jesus, which is the idea that he will save the world. He'll save his people. That's the connotation behind those two words. So she was told, he will be called Emmanuel, you will name him Jesus. Okay, great. Big responsibility. When he was 12, Hillel, who was the priest that was teaching him in the Jewish faith, said, we call him the day star from on high because he brings light to our people. He teaches us. As a 12-year-old child, he is teaching the masters. You know, he is telling them about how his God doesn't do this. His God is a God of love, and he's teaching, right? When he is less than 24, he is in India, and Vijayapati is one of his teachers, who I love, Vijayapati. And he called him the living oracle of God. From his mouth, God energy comes. Do you see how his identity is shifting? It's still Jesus, but it's not shifting much, but it is. People are acknowledging and identifying the energy that he's bringing. He is the day star from on high. He is the living oracle of God. Got it? Okay. And I wanted to share with you what was said of him when he went to the Egyptian mystery school. He presented himself for study in the mystery school because he wanted to go through every challenge that humanity goes through. He wanted to present himself to go through the tests. And he said, I want to know what humanity suffers. I want to know what challenges they go through. And this is what the masters said to him. First they said, your wisdom's greater than ours. Why are you here? And when he said that, I want to know. And they said, okay, we will accept you into our school. And the master took down a scroll on which was written the numbers and the name of every attribute and character. He had to get a new name. So they said, circle is the symbol of perfect man. 7 is the number of perfect man. And logos is the perfect word, that which creates and that which destroys and that which saves. This Hebrew master is logos of the Holy One, circle of the human race, and the 7 of time. And in the record book he wrote down the logos circle 7, and this is how Jesus was known. The logos circle 7, perfect word, perfect humanity, perfect man. Logos circle 7. Got it? Now I want you to listen to what he was told to do next. The master said, go forth. They put him in a place where he could read and study. Listen to this. Go forth and search these records until you have found your soul and return. He had already taught. He'd already healed. He was the Logos Circle 7. And he was told to find his soul. He was full aware of his identity in the world. He was full aware of how people saw him. He was full aware of the energy he brought. Now go find your soul. And it says, he went into the chamber and he loved reading the mystical signs and the hieroglyphs and the texts. And in this chamber, Jesus found himself alone. He remained there for many days. He read, he thought, he sought the importance of the master's charge to find himself. A revelation came and he got acquainted with his soul. He found himself and he was not alone. How powerful is that? Even when we know we can manifest the perfection of God, there is still a part of us that we need to discover. It's the unique and awesome part of our soul, our spirit, that is the child of God, that is unique. You understand what I'm saying? And you would have thought that he would have been born knowing his soul, right? You would have thought as he's doing all these things, he knows his soul. But it wasn't until he stopped to search for himself that he found himself, and he was not alone. From that point forward, he goes forth and he sees through the eyes of self. He sees through the eyes of soul. Because in the Egyptian mystery schools, he is tempted many times, not about knowledge, but about how to treat humans, how to treat humanity. Are you going to be kind? Are you going to be generous? Are you going to own your own power? Those are all part of the tests that he went through. And because he knew who he was inside himself, he owned it. Okay? All right. Then at the graduation, when he finally finished the test in the mystery schools, and we have no idea how long he was there. We know he was in his 20s when he entered. We don't know. We know he was, 30 when he started his ministry? So somewhere in there, he could have been there years. But when he finished the final exam and he passed, and there weren't exams like we know. There were exams like, in this moment, how are you going to be? He was called the Christ. And they gave him the title, the Christ. And this is from the mystery school, from the Egyptians. You are the Christ, living energy of God love. Really powerful, huh? And this gave him the opportunity to go and do the work that was his to do, because he knew himself. Take a breath. All right, you don't have to join a mystery school. I can see everybody signing up right now. All right. Spirit said this. To know your name, who you are, you must be seen, and you first must be willing to see yourself. You must be willing to see who you are. So they give us a couple of things to look at, and I do want to read this because it's funny. I love this man. This is at the end of Jesus' journeys. He's on his way to Jerusalem for the final week, and he's walking by. And, of course, people say, oh, the Master's coming by. Jesus is coming by. The one that heals people is coming by. And there was a man who was blind. And he started yelling. And people said, shut up. Leave the Master alone. And he says this, Thou son of David, hear, have mercy on poor blind Bartimaeus. His name was Bartimaeus. In case you think I'm somebody else, it's Bartimaeus here. Have mercy on me. I want to be healed. Will you heal Bartimaeus, please? Don't worry about all those other voices. It's me. And I love the fact that he uses his name when he's calling forth his healing. Have mercy on Bartimaeus. Can you see the power in that? I love that. Children do it. You know that they use their name. When my little Hazel girl was less than 2, she's not quite 2. David and Hazel met us. We were looking for our new furniture in the office. I needed a new couch. It was her first time in a furniture store. Oh, my God, the child, she can walk. And there's nobody there, so she's fine running around. She walked in and went, oh, wow, all these chairs and wow. She didn't say, look at all the couches, but she was like, wow, and started walking around. And then we turned a corner, and we weren't in the kids' area. We turned a corner, and way at the back of the aisle was a little child's bed, transition bed, And she stood there and went, Hazel's bed! And she ran and she laid down in the bed. Hazel's bed! I know what this is. And did her grandparents buy it for her? Yes. Because she was getting due to need a bed. She was getting ready to get out of her crib, but she was still in a crib. But it was just so beautiful that she used her name to claim. And it was joyful. And I love it. And anytime she says Hazel something, it just makes me happy. She's using her name to claim. And I just yeah, girl, you get it. And it's not mine. Mine tends to be not yours. If I say mine, that means not yours. But if I say Cindy's, of course it is. Do you see the difference? So when we are willing to be seen, willing to claim our space that we currently have, we have an innate power and an innate knowing. The other story I wanted to share with you is something that we're coming at it a little bit differently, but it'll give you some insights. This is a story I use a lot because I love this story. There has been a fire in the village, and a lot of people's homes were destroyed. And a little girl comes to Jesus and she says, my dad's got problems. My dad my mom works really, really hard, and my dad takes all of the money and he goes and drinks. And so we're hungry. My mom and I are hungry. My brothers are hungry. We're hungry. And he's a good man, Jesus. He's a good man. He has a good heart, but he just drinks. And Jesus didn't say anything. He took the little girl by the hand, and he went to find the daddy, and the daddy was at home. And he found the man on a bed of straw, and he took him by the hand and said, "My brother man, made in the image of God, will you rise and come with me? Your neighbors are in sore distress. They have lost all they had in a fierce fire, and men must build their homes again, and you and I must lead the way." And the man arose, and the two went arm in arm to view the wrecks. They heard the mother's cry, and Jesus said, "My friend, here's a work for you. Just lead the way in helpfulness, and I'm sure the men of Bethany will furnish you the means." And a spark that had been so long smoldering was fanned into a flame in the man. He threw his ragged coat aside, and he was himself again. Then he called for help, and everybody helped, and pretty soon the homes were rebuilt. Then he saw his own poor den. His heart was stirred to the depths, and his pride of manhood filled his soul. Who I am in this world is now connected with who I am in the truth. He became connected with his soul. And the people came and rebuilt his house. And it was a lovely home. And it says, everyone was happy, a man was saved, and no one ever spoke a word about neglect or drunkenness or urged him to reform. They called forth his ability, his identity was called forth. You can help build. Please help build. And by giving forth of his talent, he was actually giving forth his energy and who he is. And when he gave forth who he was, his soul could connect. You guys with me? So, you must be willing to see yourself. Sometimes people see you before you see you. Sometimes people see you before you see you. You know, they ask you to step up and do something. You go, oh, that's not mine. But I see you've got it. It's in your spirit. Oh, I haven't found that part of me yet. Okay. But it's there. And if we allow ourselves to get off our bed of straw, do you guys enjoy your bed of straw? When we allow ourselves to begin to feel our light and allow our light to shine, we find ourselves inside. When we allow our light to shine, we find ourselves inside. You getting it? Okay. So here's your 1, 2, 3s. I know you love 1, 2, 3s, right?
Sure.
This is how you make it happen. Number 1, use your name. Use your name. When I was in my 20s and I was in corporate, and I was so unhappy and lonely and worked all the time and sad. And all true. And I wasn't in a metaphysical church. And I wasn't going to church. I was, I was raised Metaphysical Baptist, which doesn't work. So there was no church that I was welcomed in. So anyway, I would call myself from work. This is back in the day, and I would say, "Hey, Cindy. Hey girl, hang on. You're okay. I love you, Cindy. You're beautiful, and you're doing such good work, and it's okay that nobody sees you. I see you." And I'd talk to myself for 5 minutes. I'd hang up the phone, I'd be okay, and I'd work another 8 hours. And I would go home, and I would listen to my messages on my answering machine. I would forget that I'd left myself a message. And there would be my voice, "Hey, Cindy, I love you." And I go, "Oh, my God." I would cry when I left it, and I would cry when I received it. But it was me acknowledging me in a way that I was observing myself, in a way that I was seeing Cindy and needed to know that I was seeing myself. That's why I needed the space, leave the message. That's why I needed to leave the message. And that got me through many years, y'all, before I could find a community that believed what I believed. But the other thing that you can do is, do you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning? Yeah. Do you say, "I love you"? Yeah. No. I have one no. How about if you looked at your eyes and you said your name? I love you so much. I love you. You are just doing the best you can, and you're amazing. How about that? Or you look at you go, Cindy, it's your day today. You're going to be fabulous. You're going to be amazing. And call forth with your name that observer and observed one. I am observing, but I am seeing. I'm observer and observed one. I'm creating, but I'm still creating a moment where I can see my spirit and my soul. And sometimes when I was feeling really sad, I would look at myself until the light came through. I know you're in there, girl. Come on, Cindy. Come on. Turn that light on. Do you ever do that? Turn the light on, and then the light comes on in your eyes. How many of you have thought about doing this? All right, that's your homework. That was no hand, by the way, Cyberland. Nobody has ever thought of doing this. Look in your own eyes, call your name, call forth your energy. And eventually you will look in your eyes and you will say, my name, I behold the Christ in you. Cindy, I behold the Christ in you. I behold the Christ in you. How powerful is that? Yes. Okay. So using your name, becoming the observer and the observed, becoming connected, and then use that joyful acceptance of your vibration, the Hazel moment. Yes! You know, be joyfully acceptant of the vibration of you, your name in this moment. Joyfully acceptant. This becomes your identification. This is your ID, your inner divinity. Think about that. This is my inner divinity. My inner divinity. And if you've looked in your eyes in the morning and you've said, I behold the Christ in you and I love you and you're fabulous, and you walk out, how is your day going to be? Great. And moms, today, would you guys teach your children? There's so many moms that teach them affirmations before they get on the school bus. Okay, now, I'm wonderful, I'm powerful. The little baby goes, I'm wonderful, I'm powerful. All right, I'm going to be good today. I'm going to be good today. You know, they empower them with these affirmations of, I am fabulous. And adding their name would empower it all the more. I am fabulous. Cindy, you are fabulous. Cindy, I am fabulous. Whatever. Add your name. Okay. Number 2 in the self-help is to be willing to be seen. A lot of us don't want to give because we feel like nobody wants what we have. Do you feel that way? I think we know that people want what we have been trained to give. I'm really good at this because I've been trained at it and I know I can market it and I can make money on it. But what about what you have in your soul? The greatest gift of a friend, a true friend, is to be able to sit with you in the silence and just be in your energy. Because they love you. They love your soul. They love being with you. Do you understand? What about giving that part of you? So we have a festival, and Bonnie and I and a bunch of people, we cobble it together every year. We just cobble it together. Everybody just does it. And one day Terry came in and said, hey, I think I want to do the festival. I want to take it over. And we all went, sure. But are you sure? Do you have any idea how much work it's taken 3 and 4 of us to get this done? And she goes, it's easy for me. It's who I am. Yeah. Oh, girl, you got it. Right. And she's been doing the last several, and aren't they fabulous? Yes. But it's easy for her. Was it easy for the cobbled together group of us? No, not necessarily. Do you think we needed her? Yes. Her gift. And that's just a small gift of who Terry is. But that is who Terry is. She does do this. So, all right. So be willing to be seen. And then the third step is to begin to search for your soul. Who am I? Begin to search for your soul. Begin to search for that soul name. In our metaphysical meditation classes, meditation 2, it ends with going in and getting, I think Patrick calls it your star name. But it's a name from spirit. It's a name that identifies a higher aspect of you. And you can do this on your own. Begin your search for who is my soul? Who am I? Who am I? When I did it many years ago, 35 years ago, and I was in a workshop and I did it and I got my name. I didn't like my name. I wanted it to be beautiful and angelic and fabulous and so amazing that it was just transcendent. That's what I wanted. And that's not what I got. So I got the name Estelle, Christina. Meow. I said, are you sure? Let me make it Stella. I like Stella better. Let me change it. And it was like, yeah, do what you want, Cindy, but that's not the name. And I went, okay, well, why is that the name? I don't resonate with that name. And Spirit said, Cindy, it's the Christ of the stars. I went, dang, that's my name. That's my name. That's my name. It's part of my soul. It's part of who I am. I may not be a professional astrologer, but I know it in my heart. I know the stars in my heart. Do you know? There are things in our soul, and that's not the totality of my name, but it's a name I can hold on to in this lifetime. There's parts of us that are so magnificently wonderful. Maybe you won't be ready to receive your name when you first hear it. Maybe you'll go, but work with understanding you are greater than you can possibly imagine. And I'm going to tell you something that's true. Your name may not even fit in this world. The world may not have room for who you truly are at the deepest soul level. But you brought an aspect of you, this beautiful uniqueness, you brought an aspect of you that the world needs. Just like Jesus was the day star from on high, the living oracle of God, he brought the word of God in a way that the world needed it. Was he even greater than that? Yes. Could the world have handled it? No. He even left as he was leaving. I have so much more to tell you. You can't understand. There's so much more to you. But we begin by at least allowing our inner divinity to become part of our identity. Do you hear me? Inner divinity becoming part of your identity. This is who I am. And I do not have to explain to you who my soul is. You vibrate with me or you don't. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to explain to me who your soul is. We stand in a beautiful uniqueness that is unique to each one because we are the living children of God. Unique, unique, unique. Created. Just how can there be so many different snowflakes, guys? How can there be so many different people? We are unique. Created unique children of God. Okay. Your name. Your name. Your name is the vibration of the identity that you're holding. Your soul name is the vibration of that aspect of your soul that you brought down. How powerful is that? And if Jesus had to find his soul after all those years of doing spiritual work, you think it's time we could start our journey? All right, let's go within. Father, Mother God, we ask that what we now do be for the highest blessing of all concerned. And I would invite each one of you just to feel a beautiful column of light coming over you. And in this moment, allow it to be a beautiful color or an interesting color, whatever manifests for you. Whatever color comes forward, what is this showing me? And imagine you can feel the energy of your heart. And just feel the question, who am I? Who am I? And as you ask, feel yourself lifting up the column of light just a little bit into that beautiful space of divinity. Christ is there, Jesus Christ is there. There may be angels with you, guides. It may just be a beautiful open space. Lift up. And I want you to take a step into the space that is created for you. Who am I? Notice everything in that space is a part of you. If it's just a white light, if there's something challenging, you can send that light. That's a part of you for the moment. Everything in this space is a part of you. And in this space, go to your heart again. I am ready to know my soul. I am ready to know my soul. Whatever happens is perfect. If there's a darkened sky of stars, if there's a bright light, if there's anything that occurs is perfect, even if it's just a feeling. And take one step forward. I have a name. I may not know my name, but I have a name. Feel the energy of the I am in you. Feel the love of God pouring to you to support you. Your heart open. And send love to that inner identity. I have a name. Feel the heart expanding. Feel the love of God surrounding you. And feel that you are held perfect in God's heart. And take a breath. And as you exhale, find yourself just being gently put back into your beautiful body, this beautiful vehicle that you walk through. Feel yourself just coming back. I have a name, and I have a reason for being here. And I am happy. Take a breath, send your love into the room. And Father, Mother God, we thank you for this moment. We thank you that we truly are the children of God. Feel your feet, feel your hands, feel your name. When you're ready, open your eyes. You don't need to know your name. You need to know you have one. But let's start with what we have. We're going to say I am and your name. Ready? I am Cindy. How's that feel? Say yeah, God. So it is.